Hello and welcome to this jazz guitar lesson. Now, regular viewers of the channel will know that Charlie Christian is one of my favourite players. And I've transcribed a lot of his solos. And one thing that I've noticed he does a lot and that I absolutely love, and I've very much stolen it myself and want to show you how to do it, is a cool little thing he does on dominant chords. To take the opening to his solo on Rose Room, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, there's something interesting happening here. Now, I'm not sure whether Charlie Christian would have thought about it like this, who knows, but it is a arpeggio substitution where he is playing a minor 6 chord on the dominant. And I don't know about you, but I think that sounds like a really neat way to lead back to the 1 chord. That was going E flat, 7 to A flat major, so 5 to 1. So let me break down what's going on and how you can integrate this into your rhythm and lead playing. So first off, let's take a 2-5-1 in the key of G major. So let's say you went A minor 7, maybe D9 to G6, or we could make that G major 7 at the end. On the top there, we got this nice. That's the nice thing about using similar types of voicings, if you like, in terms of the amount of strings. Nothing really surprising going on there, and if I did, in the Style of My Making the Changes series, where we play the arpeggios against the chords, which is a really important skill for your fretboard knowledge and your ear, then we might do something like this with the arpeggios. So I just did A minor 7. That's just 1 3 5 7 there. 1 3 5 7 1. Drop back down. 3 5 7. On the D7, I went 1 3 5 7 up to the root, and then drop back for 3 5 7. On the G major 7, 1 3 5 7 up to the root, back down to the 7th, 5th, 3rd, 1. So everything is all inside, if you like. I'm just playing the notes from the chords, and it gives you the outline of those 3 chords, the 2-5-1 in G. Now, the substitution that Charlie Christian is doing on the 5 chord is what's known as a minor 4 chord. So if you took the key of G, C major 7, C major would be chord 4. Now, a really common thing to do in jazz and in popular music as well is to change that 4th chord to a minor. And that has a very sad effect. It's very used often strategically by songwriters when the lyrics are sad in a song. And what we can do, and I'll explain the theory behind it in a second, is swap out our 5 chord, a D9, D7, with a C minor 6, so that minor 4 from our key that we're in, G. So we could go instead with chords A minor 7, and then C minor 6, resolving to G major 7. Now the effect you get there, I think you feel the fall to the 1 chord. It's a really nice way back. On the B string there we've got, which I think sounds really nice. That C minor 6 is a bit unforgiving to play. You could always play it like this, just with 3 note voicing. A bit easier to do. Now, just to say, the movement between A minor 7 and C minor 6, maybe not so obvious here, because we're changing roots to get the chord, but if I went up to C minor 6 here, you'll probably see that distance is a minor 3rd. So if this helps, it will help some of you, I'm sure. The minor 6 chord is a minor 3rd away from the 2 chord. I know that's laden with theory, but that's the distance between those 2 chords, between A and C. And what's strange is we've taken away the D. We haven't got the note D in this chord. Still sounds like a 2-5-1 in its own weird way. Let's do it with arpeggio. So let me just follow what I've written for you guys. So same as the earlier example. And then we're going to go up a minor 3rd to C minor 6, resolving to the 3rd of G, a B. So and that would work, you know, the do do da 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 boom ba ba do do da 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 do da 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 would work over the D7, right? The idea is that the rhythm section isn't necessarily playing C minor 6 as well. The backing track we're going, who you're playing with would go A minor 7, D7, G, but you kind of think and play A minor 7, C minor 6 to G major 7. Now, valid question. Why on earth does this work? To understand things like this, you need to understand the intervals. Pair that with eventually, really internalizing the sound of what this is like, and you'll recognize it once you get used to it. Plenty of soloists use this move. Now, how it's going to work, to think about it, we need to think about the intervals of C minor 6, but not over C minor 6. Not, if I play the arpeggio for a C minor 6 chord, that is just 1, flat 3, 5, 6. But if I play that against the sound of this, the D7, then it's a whole set of different intervals. So it's now become flat 7, the C, E flat, flat 9, G, the 11th or 4th, and A, a 5th. So we're left with 2 notes from a D7, the C and the A, and then a juicy note, a dissonant note in E flat, the flat 9, and G, the 4th or the 11th, a sweeter sounding note. So 2 notes from the chords and then 2 more interesting notes. So that's kind of why it works. But also we've got to remember it's not just about playing C minor 6 over a D7. It's about C minor 6 resolving into G major. And how that works is, for me, it's always because of kind of notes being really close to a note in the next chord. So if you take a C, that's a semitone above a B, which is the 3rd of a G chord. If you take the E flat, that's a semitone above the 5th of a G chord. G is obviously the root of a G chord, so that's a nice note which stays the same between C minor 6 and G. And the A, well, it's a tone above a G, and it's a tone below a B. So it's sort of sandwiched between 2 notes of the G chord. So to summarise that, the intervals of a C minor 6 over a D7, they sound good. Give us 2 of the notes from the chord and 2 tense notes. And then we've got the notes of that chord itself also being very close to notes in the one chord, the G major 7. That's kind of why it works. You get the nice sound against the D7, but then those notes will lead nicely back to notes of the one chord. Let's play it in a line. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. So what's happening here? We got notes which work well against an A minor 7, leading into it, a lead in, finish on the 3rd of a A minor 7, and then on the C minor 6, or really it's the D7, right? We'll just play a C minor 6 up and back down. Just 1, 3, 5, 6 of the C minor. And then go 5, 3, 3 for the G major. That's the sound we're going for, but it's happening over the D. There we go. So that's one example. Now, when it comes to comping it, I do use it also. From time to time, I'd quite often do it like this, where I'd keep the 2 chord for a bar, and then do some voice leading like that. So going A minor 7 and D9, C minor 6 to G major 7. Yeah. That works. Again, it's more of a thing for soloing for me, but it could be done in comping as well. And just remembering that the minor 4 in the key of G, C minor or C minor 6 is a really nice way to go back to chord 1. Like the times I would use this, actually, I should say, is if you've got, particularly at the end of the A section, the second A section in a 32 bar song before it goes to the B section, you often just get 2 bars of the 1 chord. So what I might do, where you've got 2 bars of G major, I might actually go G, then C minor 6, then back to G. So you get this movement which isn't there. On the music in a real book or on iReal on a chart, it won't say G, C minor 6, G. It will just say G for 2 bars. But I often stick these kind of additional chords in to create movement in the lines and tension and release. Let's try another line. Now in this next example, I'm going to go A minor 7, D7, C minor 6 to G. So we're going to have 2 chords in the 5 chord bar. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we did here, A minor 7, just notes from the chord plus the 9th. And this was, we're going on the A minor 7, 5 root, and then I do the same thing on the D7, 5 root, but then C minor 6, resolving to the 3rd of G. Kind of swing based kind of line. It's that close resolve there between the note in C minor 6 and like Charlie Christian did in his Rose Room solo that I showed you at the start, that you want to get. So just learn how to connect it up. Like, here's some possibilities. Let me put them on the screen for you. So if you did C minor 6 up, you could go then up to the 3rd of G major 7 like that. So if you went down, and I've shown this example in the previous one, you could go down C minor 6, 6, 5, flat 3, 1, resolve to the 3 of the G. Another example, that's a really nice strong sounding one. That's going root, 6, 5, flat 3, resolve to the 5th of our 1 chord. And then finally, stay on the root at the end. So those examples examples of how the C minor 6, the minor 4 connects up to the 1 chord, and I'm going for the closest note, like you really want to do with arpeggios. And just a final couple observations about this theoretically. You can look at the 2-5-1 as major, minor, resolved to the 1 chord, and I'll tell you why. Think how closely related A minor 7 is to C major. They're both relative major, relative minor of each other. So you can play C major over A minor and vice versa. So there's almost this kind of major to minor feeling, because A minor 7, let's say, it is a C. If you take A minor 7, it is the notes of C6, just with an A in the bass. So then we go C minor 6. So it's almost like going C6, C minor 6 to our 1 chord. We'll do it down here. Some horrible voicings. So you can kind of look at the 2-5-1 then as major, minor of the same chord to 1. Okay, that's one thing. Hopefully that's not too much of a stretch for you. And finally, this C minor is the 2 of the backdoor dominant. So another way to get back to G and get back to chord 1 would be to do a dominant a tone below. So in the key of G, that would be F. So you can kind of look at this. You could go A minor 7, then maybe C minor 6, then F7, back to G. So this minor 4 is the minor of the relative major, so in the sense that, like, if you take A minor 7, that is also the notes of a C6, so effectively you get that sound of major to minor, C6, C minor 6, back to 1. The C minor 6 is also a 2 of the backdoor dominant. Now this is bringing up some other concepts, right? Things you may have never heard of, you may be familiar with or heard of once. I'll put my video about the backdoor dominant on the screen for you to check out. Something that's really common in chord progressions, and it's another good way to get back to chord 1. And it is about learning these tricks that jazz composers have used over the years when they write these beautiful songs. These kind of chord changes keep coming up and up again. And this minor 4 thing, it's not a thing that's exclusive to Charlie Christian. Tons of soloists do it. It's just a nice guitar-based example for you. And I just wanted to show you something that I think, you could get into your comping, you could get into your lead playing. In my series there's actually quite a lot of different theoretical concepts that overlap with this, and I'll put my video up on the screen for my lesson about the backdoor dominant if you've not heard of it or come across it. That's a really important thing to get your head around, because for me it is about learning to get used to the typical ways that the great composers of these jazz standards like to use chords. And you learn a lot of standards, you pick up on these things, you learn to hear these type of movements happening again and again. If you're used to them, if you understand them theoretically and you know the sound of them, soloing over these songs is a hell of a lot easier. And I think it also helps you create other sounds as well, right? Because when you take the basic chords of the song, I will obviously largely dig into those arpeggios, but I'll do things like I'm doing today. And, I will play other chords to create additional movement, to create additional tension. Anyway, if you've got any questions, any comments, then do leave them below. If you want to dig more into that Rose Room solo, I've got a full breakdown and the transcription of that over on my Patreon page on the lowest tier, link in the description. Until the next time, you take care.